Hello Divination and welcome. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to fill text with images for creative backgrounds using Divi. So let me show you the final result of what we'll be designing in today's tutorial. So as you can see, this is our first example. And this is our second one. So as you notice here, our image is actually within the main text, which is what we're trying to achieve here. So as we go here, we have a different style there. And then finally, for our fourth design, we also have a totally different style. Okay, so without wasting a lot of time, let's dive in and let's get started. Okay, so over here, I'm in my admin dashboard. So the first thing I want to do is to create a brand new page. So I'm going to come over here to pages and click on add new. So you can call your page whatever you want. So for this, I'm just going to call it design. Click on use the Divi builder. And then I'm going to go straight into the visual builder. So next we want to add a text module. So I'm going to click this plus button here to add our columns first. So for this, we're going to need, say, a single column. And in the column, we're going to need a text module. So I'm going to select my text module here. So the text we're going to need here is just going to be 01. So that's the text we're going to need. Now let's go on to the design option. So I'm going to click on design, text. So our text font is going to be Poppins. So I'm going to select it here. And then I'm going to come over here to the font weight and make sure this is set to heavy. And then for the text size, we're going to set this to 40 EMs. So we might as well add the settings for the desktop and the tablet. So I'm going to click this little button here, click on tablet. And then for the tablet, we're going to make sure this is set to 25 EMs. And then for the smartphone, we're going to set this to 15, like that. So I'm going to go back to my desktop. Next, we're going to add our text color. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit, select my selector. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to drag the slider down a little bit because we are going to need an RGBA value. So I'm going to paste it within the brackets. Now, if you want to use the exact amounts that I'm adding here, you need to go to the post, which I'll link to in the show notes below. And that's where you'll get all the settings. Next, we need to come over here to the text orientation and make sure that it's set to centered. So I'm going to scroll down and then click on centered. Now it's time to add our custom padding. So I'm going to click on spacing. And then for the padding top, we need to add 288 pixels and then 288 for the bottom. Next, we're going to come over here to the borders. And then we're going to set our border width to 1 pixel. And then we're going to set the border color to white, like that. Next, we need to set our blend mode to screen. So I'm going to come over here to filters, blend mode, and then I'm going to set it to screen. So once we've done all this, we can go ahead now and save. Right, so what we're going to do next is to add a brand new row and add a call to action module. So I'm going to click a single column, search for my call to action. I'm going to select it. And the title here is going to be called Discover. And then for the button text, we're just going to call this Learn More. And for our background color, we're going to make this transparent. So I'm going to click on background and then click on here. And then I'm just going to drag both sliders all the way down until we don't see anything. So this has just made my background transparent. Now let's go to the design tab and make sure that our text is now visible. So I'm going to click on design, text, and then over here where it says text color, we're going to change this from light to dark. So now you can see our text is now visible. You can see here that we added a button, but it's not visible. That's because I haven't added the link to the button. So let's go back and do that. So I'm going to click on content, click on link. And then for my button URL, I'm just going to add a blank link. And then we're going to go back to design. So let's go ahead and make our adjustments to our text. So over here, we're going to make sure our text orientation is set to left. And then we're going to come over here to our title text, make sure that this is set to Poppins, just so that we keep everything uniform. Right, so the next thing we're going to do is to set our font weight to heavy. So I'm going to come over here, change this to heavy. And then we're going to change our font style, make it all caps. Right, so the next thing we're going to do is to come back over here to the content because as you can see, I haven't added my description text in here, so this looks kind of weird. So let's fix that. So I'm going to come back over here to my content tab, click on text, and then I'm going to paste my content here in the content area like that. So that looks much better now. Okay, so let's go back to the design and continue making all our adjustments. So for our title text, we're going to change the size to about 70. We want it nice and big. And then we're also going to adjust our other screens. So we're going to start off with the tablet. We're going to set this to 50. And then we're going to come over here to the smartphone and we're going to change this to 40. Right, so this just makes it so that when we look at this design in different screen sizes, everything looks nice and nothing's being cut off. Right, so let's go ahead and add our title text color. So I'm going to click here and then I'm just going to reduce this a little bit so I can add my RGBA values in here. So I'm going to paste it like that. So that's going to be our text color. And then I'm going to add some letter spacing. So we're just going to increase this to about 4, just like that. Now let's go to our body font. So I'm going to click on body text. So we're going to change this to Poppins. And then over here for our font weight, we're going to set this to light. Now it's time to add our sizes. So we're going to make sure this is set to 32. And then I'm going to click my tablet view. And then here we're going to set this to 24. But we're going to make it 24 for both screen sizes. Like that. And then back over here to my desktop. So you can see here that's looking really nice. So let's adjust the body line height. So over here, I'm just going to make sure that it's set to 1.3. And then for our body text color, I'm going to set this to all 3s. Okay, so that's looking really nice. So the next thing we're going to do here is to work on the button. So to make our button adjustments, we need to make sure that we activate use custom styles for buttons. So I'm going to say yes to that. So I'm going to start over here with the button text color. And I'm going to paste my value in here like that. Next, we're going to go into the button background color, click the plus button. And then I'm just going to drag the slider down a little bit and then paste my value within the brackets like that. Now let's adjust our margins. So I'm going to scroll all the way down here until I get to spacing. So over here, I'm going to add a custom margin of -600 pixels. And then over here for the bottom, I'm going to add 40%. Now the reason why we set the margin with a pixel value is because we wanted to limit the movement of the module when adjusting the browser width. So the bottom is set to 40% in order to keep the bottom section from overlapping the row that holds this module. Okay, so now that we have all our information on our page, let's go ahead and make our adjustments to the row. So I'm going to save, and then I'm going to come over here to my row settings, click on background, and then over here on the column 1 background, I'm going to click this plus button to insert our image. So the tab that I need is the third tab. So I'm going to click on it, click the plus button, and then I'm going to add my image. Click on upload an image. Next, I'm going to come over here to my design tab, click on sizing. We're going to make this row full width. So let's activate that by clicking yes. And then I'm going to come over here to use custom gutter width, and we're going to set this to 1. So this allows our row to go edge to edge. Next, we're going to adjust our padding. So I'm going to click on spacing. So for the padding top, I'm going to add 10% and 7% bottom. And then we're going to come over here to the border, and we're going to set our border width to 1, but we're going to set our color to white. Like that. And then we're going to save. Now, right now, I can't really see where everything is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to activate my grid mode. So I'm going to click over here on my expand settings, click these little dots to go into my settings, and then I'm going to activate my grid mode. In fact, I might as well activate all of them. And then I'm going to save. Right, so what I'm going to do next is to come over here to my second row, click on the gear icon to go into the settings. I'm going to click on the design, spacing. So what we're going to do here is we're going to adjust our custom padding and add 0 to the top and 0 to the bottom, like that. And then we're going to go ahead and save. So the final thing that we're going to do now is to get rid of this image on the background by adding white to our text module. So to do that, because right now we can't really see where this text module is, so I'm going to come over here to my wireframe view, click on the settings of the text module, and then I'm going to go back to my desktop view. So all I have to do now is to come over here to background, add white to my background. So you can see here as I'm dragging this all the way to the white. It's actually getting rid of my image and leaving my image in the number. And this is exactly what we want to achieve. Okay, so I'm going to drag this all the way to white. So now we can see that it's just the number with the image coming through right here, which is a very good effect. So all I have to do now is to save. So all we have to do now is to finally add our dividers to our section. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to come over here to my section settings, click on design, dividers. So we need to add the first divider to the top. So I'm going to click here and choose my design, which is that. And then next, I'm going to come over here to my divider color and add my color. So this is going to be an RGBA value. So I'm just going to drag the slider down a little bit and then paste my values in here like that. Now let's come over here to the divider height and make some adjustments to this. So you can play around with this until you're happy with how high you want this to be, but make sure that it's not too much, because as you can see, this is going to start going into the row. So we want to keep it up there. So in my case here, I'm going to leave it at about 245. So we're going to come over here and add our divider to the bottom as well. So we're going to choose our style as we did before. I'm going to select it like that. Add our divider color like we did before. I'm going to paste my values within the brackets. And then I'm also going to adjust the height like that. And then if you want to make adjustments on the tablet, you can always come over here to this little icon, go to the tablet, and then you can always make adjustments here. So for the tablet, I'm going to bring this down to about 125 so that we can see this design. And then over here on the divider arrangement, we're going to make sure that this is set to on top of content. Okay, so we may want just to increase this a little bit, maybe to about 127, like that. But as I mentioned, you can play around with these and see what works best for you. So I may as well come over here to the top and make adjustments to that, because that's a bit too high. So I'm going to reduce that a little bit. So that's looking much better. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my desktop view. So now that we're done, I'm going to go ahead and save. Right, so what we're going to do next is we're just going to add a section which will separate all our sections that we're going to create below this. So for now, I'm not going to add a row. So I'm just going to add a background color in this section. So I'm going to click my section settings, click on background, and we're going to come over here to the second tab and add a gradient. So I'm going to click this plus button here. So over here on my first color, I'm going to add my RGBA value like that. So you can see here that the color had just blended into my section here. And then for my second color, I'm going to do the same, paste my RGBA value within the brackets, and then we're done with this. We're going to go ahead now and save. Okay, so what we're going to do next is to start working on our second section. So to do that, we're going to copy what we have here on the top section and add it below this section that we've just created. So let's go ahead and do that. So right now, my page is quite large and I can't see where I am. So I'm going to go into my wireframe view. So I'm going to copy, or in fact, I can clone this section and then drag it below this section that we've just created. So I'm just going to click and drag. Great. So let's go back to our desktop view. So as you can see, these colors are not working well together. So let's go ahead and fix that. So I'm going to come over here to my section settings, click on design, dividers, and then we're going to go to the divider top right there. Click on the color, and I am going to paste my color in here like that. So now we can see that things are transitioning well between these two sections, and that's exactly what we need. So I'm going to save. So the first thing we want to do here is to change this value from 1 to 2. So I'm going to click the text module, change this to 2. Okay, so what we're going to do next is we're going to change this text from discover to design. So I'm going to click on text, change this from discover to design. Next, I'm going to come over here to my design tab and change the color of my button. So I'm going to click on button text color, and then I'm going to paste my color in here Okay, so we have all the elements that we need. So this is looking really, really nice. Okay, so what we're going to do next is, before we add the third design, we're going to add a transition section, which will have the colors of both sections as we did before. So I'm going to come over here, click this plus button, click on regular, and then just close this. And then over here, I'm going to come to my section settings, click on background, and then I'm going to click the second tab, click the plus button, and then we're going to add our two colors. So my first color here is going to be an RGBA value. So I'm going to click here and paste my values within the brackets. I'm going to do the same over here for the second color, paste my value, and then we're going to go ahead and save. Okay, so now it's time to create our third section. So what we need to do is to just copy the one that we've just created already. So I'm going to come back over here to my wireframe view so I can really see where my sections are. So I'm going to clone this and then drag it below this section that we've just created. Like that. And then I am going to go back to my desktop view. Okay, so before I get started, I'm going to come over here and adjust my section colors. So I'm going to come over here to my settings, click on design, dividers, and then for the top one, I'm just going to add my color like that. So you can see here that this is now seamless. I'm going to save this. So what we're going to do here is to add our image to our row. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to come over here to my row settings, click on background, and then I'm just going to add my image. I'm going to select it from my media library and then click on upload an image. So you can see here my image has now been added. So I'm going to close this for now. And then I'm going to come over here to my text module and set my number here to number 3. I'm going to save this for now. And then over here on our call to action module, we're going to change our text to develop. So I'm going to come over here to my wireframe view, select my call to action settings, and then change design to develop like that. And then I'm just going to make sure that everything is in place. Excellent. So I'm going to go ahead now and save. So pretty much this is our design for our third section. Let's go ahead and do the last and final one. So as we did before, I'm going to click this plus button here to add a brand new section. It's going to be a regular section. And then I'm just going to add my transition colors. So I'm going to come over here to my section settings, click on background, and then I'm going to click on the gradient tab. So I'm going to click this plus button here to add my colors. I'm going to paste my first color in here. It's going to be RGBA. So I'm going to paste the values between the brackets like that. Click on the second one, and then I'm going to paste them within the brackets like that. So that's all we need to do for now. I'm going to go ahead now and save. Now it's time to duplicate one of our sections. So let's go ahead and do that. So as we did before, I'm going to come over here to my wireframe view. And then I'm just going to use this one that is just above my section. So I'm going to clone this. And then I'm going to drag it below this section like that. And then back over here to my desktop view so I can see everything. Great. So what we want to do here is to change the colors of the blend that's happening right here. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to click on my section settings, click on design, dividers. So for my top color, I'm going to paste my value in here like that. So now we have a seamless transition here, which is great. So I'm going to save. Okay, so what we're going to do next is we're going to change our text in here. So first of all, instead of having number 4, we're going to change this to go. So notice that I'm doing this inline instead of going into the actual modules. Okay, and then over here, the word develop, we're going to change this to deliver. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to change our color here on our button to match what we have here on our dividers. So I'm just going to correct the spelling here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to my wireframe view, click on my call to action, we'll click on settings, design, and then we're going to go into the button and make our changes here. So our text color needs to change. So I'm going to paste my value in here like that. So right now we can't see anything. We need to be in the desktop view. Great, so we can see here that our color has changed. Okay, so next we need to come over here to our title text and change our colors. So I'm going to click here and I'm going to add my RGBA value within this brackets. Okay, so for now we're going to save, and then as you can see we need to change the color of this text. So I'm going to come over here to my text module, click on design, text, and then over here on my text color, I'm going to paste my value within the brackets like that. So we're not done yet because we need to add our image to the background. So I'm going to save this for now. And then I'm going to come here to my row settings, click on background, and then I'm going to delete this image right here. Click this plus button, and then I'm going to add my image. So my image is in my downloads folder, so let's go ahead and upload it. So I'm going to click here to on upload, select files. So I'm just going to search for my image. Right, so it's this one right here. I'm going to double click on it. Okay, so now that my image has been uploaded to my media library, all I have to do now is to click on upload an image. So now we can see our image is now showing through this text. So I'm going to save here for now, and then I'm going to come to the bottom here and change my divider color. So I'm going to come over here, click on my section settings, design, dividers, click on bottom, and then I'm going to change the color like that. I'm going to save. Okay, so pretty much this is our final design. I'm going to save, and then we're going to preview our designs. So for now, I'm going to exit the Visual Builder, save and exit. So this is our final design. So there you have it. Thank you all for watching. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and do follow us on our social media platforms. By doing so, you'll be notified every time we go live or we release new tutorials. Until next time, thanks for watching and see you soon.